I would have done rooms. Because the rooms that we left, they didn't say, hey, if you don't remove the walls.
So we realized that we were on mute, but here's what we have been doing. We have been brainstorming the things that we think we want to do in 2024. And we turn the computer around and you can see some of the brainstorms. This will all be in the minutes.
We're going to have new drywall put up and we might as well circle. And those rooms don't have the full installation of the rest of the house has. That means that adjusted of course, so.
Don't worry, this will all be in the minutes.
Yeah, it's nice, it's all.
Basically, we have them grouped. I'll go back over here. We have them grouped by recycling, composting, supporting businesses, composting, working with youth in schools, multifamily housing, supporting more recycling there, EVs, helping to implement the new energy code that was passed in the fall, nature-based climate solutions and doing a climate action plan, trees, transit and MBTA and anti-idling type issues, working with the MLD on electrification, and then events.
Sounds like the board's installation can also be a harsh topic.
Yeah, but.
So what kind of events we want to do this year, you know, community yard sales or more engagement, something for Earth Day, or maybe a fix it cafe type thing, EV showcase, which we did last year. And also working with committees, other committees on sustainability issues, maybe doing a scorecard for the town and then talking about budget type things. So that is what we were talking about.
They put so many holes into the buildings.
Now I'm gonna go back off camera, but we will leave it on audio for everybody. Okay. All right, I think I brought everybody up to date. I'll get C8. We can maybe CAT can edit out the dead parts. All right.
Are we running ahead of schedule? Because y'all are awesome. You don't think y'all can do a slightly smaller. But we can march forward unless folks need to. Let's do it. So the piece that we want to do next, and we've sort of already done some clustering, although probably more clustering than we can do. But the next thing that I wanted us to do is some prioritization. So while we would love to do all of these things, it is probably not feasible. You know, and obviously some of these things are bigger than others from a, you know, time and resource and energy investment perspective. So my thought for our next step was to do some dot coding. So I'm gonna give y'all a marker, each a marker, and you can put a dot. It's a dot per post-it note, and that's why we stacked ones that were truly identical. But a dot doesn't mean this whole cluster. A dot means this item, right? So a dot is pumpkin composting, not all of the things we talked about that had anything to do with composting. Got it? You get to make 7 dots. Only 7 dots. So we'll mill around, look at the stuff, read them again. If you run into things that you can't read the handwriting or don't know what it says, ask. But we'll mill through and look, and you can dot the 7 items that you actually put your initials. Do we have unique initials? Yeah, put your initials next to the things that you think are the most important, because then we'll see if there are like particular clusters. We're small enough that we don't need to be anonymous about what we think is an interesting idea, right? So are we dotting or initial? We're initial. Okay. Yeah. Okay. The first initial or first and last? First and last, or two S.
I always do SJS, it's just like.
Whatever, so pick a unique looking smiley face, I don't know, make something that is unique to you. And place it on, go with a marker. On or near, it doesn't have to be on the post-it, they'll get a little crowded, like on the white space beside them is fine. But basically we want to see where the clusters of interest are, because if, you know, everyone wants to compost pumpkins and nobody wants to electrify school buses, we're not doing electrify
Yeah,
school buses.
absolutely.
Got it? Yeah, that makes sense. All right, markers. So we'll do that together. And then we'll talk about what better sort.
That's 7 of us, I think, certainly.
The forced prioritization,
Yeah.
you only get so many votes. Yeah, pick the best things, right? I do have to leave at 11:30,
Okay.
11:40 at the latest, so if we're ahead of schedule, that's great. Yeah.
Okay.
Seven, right?
7, if the marker doesn't work, I'll let it go. Trying to get it to unique colors. And this isn't necessarily what you personally want to work. This is just what you think are the most important things that we work on. So that's the thing, what you think are the most important things for us collectively to work. We're not volunteering. We're not volunteering, that'll be a subsequent step. We'll get there. There's a visual on the sticky or on the sticky? On the sticky space or on the next one. What's enough for you to tell which thing you have? Oh, yeah. Well, and if you see things that are really should be clustered differently, instead of functions on how to educate. Oh, this is, I don't know, is this? And it was about educating us. How to.
Like very.
Yeah.
That's more like, okay.
All of these things are kind of,
Yeah.
like, I didn't know specific of their like, I know, like. The black hair issue and the styrofoam issue.
Yeah, okay.
They're still burning away at. But much more than that man. Black. So we can talk. Well, how many? You can't tell that how many next five.
We need to. Really need to. So, let's see, the different speaker, going I mean, it's part of.
Most of the time.
Just put this on top of this. Yeah. Oh, I guess, but that way, theory. Well, I mean, like, you know, I do the. Now, that's not needed to run any podcast. It's a whole different creativity on business model,
Right. Well, I mean, the whole like engagement. Talent, that's fine.
Brainmaker does, it does sort of say brainmaker
You're
does.
not here.
No, there's no mover. I'm over. It's like, when they go, and you can sign it too. Yeah, it's maybe go there. Yeah, and you just have to return it. I don't eat there enough to, I go there probably. It's fun. Oh, probably. But I think you can just come out, brainmaker. Oh, yeah. It's a class, parents, they rest. This is all for kids tomorrow now.
Lots of. Sorry, make sure I like it.
You know what, I have an idea,
And more of those.
do we just, and, um. Create a category?
We're gonna do that next,
we're gonna see, cause I'm feeling like.
right, so just
Our
something
votes are
doesn't,
getting-
if something doesn't get a vote, that doesn't mean it won't get done. Like, once we see sort of where the hot, well, this is, we're making a heat map right now, once we see
Right.
where the hot areas are.
Right.
A committee that's about waste reduction might do
Right.
waste reduction in schools and more recycling, right, last time. So like, this will be empowered to like make the category where they fit.
Okay,
This is more about seeing like where people think we should be spending our effort.
right, I was saying, like, I'm having a hard time deciding where.
Yeah, put it on one and we'll add weight to that,
Okay.
heat to that area. Okay. I've lost count.
Okay. Two. Let's just a little bit of space. I'm sorry. I'm trying to lost track of.
It's very important.
Just feel like we.
I got cereal as the follow up for that. But anyway, yes. More.
Yeah, back to site. It's not, it's the problem.
Well, you should have, you also have the.
Something that you get.
Everybody's still just
Does that inside?
prioritizing all the original brainstorm ideas.
You will have a subcommittee that's in, or a subcommittee that is in a, you know, nearby study is on.
Pushing city, 20 feet outside of the house. I have some problem lines and 15 feet up and they're too close to the property. So I ended up getting some.
No one has like my courthouse either, so.
Except for the bad that we found along the way, we put it in there, but we don't consider.
Did you want to put something?
Maybe few.
But you can work around when. Just outside to the north.
Not the south side, actually, it's, you gotta make sure that he's in the, either black or wood. But, they actually, that's why I did a coffee box, so they actually. Beside the box. So it's.
Do you want it? Oh, I thought so great. I used to do it. Yeah, it's the way I show up.
No, that's not pirates.
No, I.
My issue is,
Ask for that. Outside of the.
I think there's two problems, one is there's strengths that area where I'm at, people spread the laws. And
A lot of it.
others,
I
it
know.
wasn't kind of. But,
Almost like, yeah.
for instance. By that one.
Alright, is everyone done stuff?
Not done yet.
Alright, I live on Grafton Street, right in front of the Blessed Sacrament Church. Know what you live is?
Yep,
Right across from you.
you're there, I'm on the,
You're a prospect, or Pleasant Spring.
yes, driven by the.
Yeah.
Exactly. Or hospital that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The real building.
Yes. Right there. So to go.
No decisions.
It's hard.
There's an extra one. Sorry. Yeah.
Oh, wow. I'm being very frugal.
You look good, Doyle, right? Let's see, can I see what Doyle
Yeah.
looks back?
Yeah, you were at the, shoot. Whose birthday was that?
Oh, yes. Last summer.
Yes, yep,
It was,
Leon's, and Griffin was like, that was his friend, and he hasn't mentioned it in 6 months, so.
well,
I felt bad.
I think graduated.
Yep, exactly,
Okay.
and he was my son was absolutely in love with that, what was her name? See, I can't remember now. There's a girl there that he was like, just talking about her all the time. She's not in Greenwood either, so she's gonna be going, she's in kindergarten now and. Let's see, maybe.
Yeah, maybe middle school, maybe they'll have a great job. So is he in his last year in Doyle?
Yeah, we were, a little worried that they were gonna, not worried, more like, we didn't know where he was on his development curve. And they told us pretty early that they were gonna track it right to the end of that.
Okay.
Even if he does need continued speech therapy, it's gonna be a green.
Yeah.
Because they have a 3 speech program now. So yeah, he should be done this year.
Would this be a sustainability to run? Yeah. Going by the jobs, yeah, I think that's the terms. Okay.
So let's just bring our chairs for both over here. And that's not too much trouble. And if our power.
Yeah, we should be able to.
I feel like we're now gonna wanna just come there and be able to see the stickies for.
Oh, I think about this stuff is, like that, so I trust it lives so much. One day, I got next clip.
That's something that's more, like it.
It's actually really fun.
Alright, so. You just finish my votes here. So, I mean, having now seen sort of where. The centers of interest are, I think our next step is to say, well, which of these things, and this is, I think, as a together exercise, not like milling around. Like where these things make sense in as subcommittees, like I think this is the actual, like, make logical groupings of these for people to work on. Things to think about are both, like logically thematic, right? Is one thing to think about, but also I would encourage us to think about if there are collaborators that are shared across particular set of initiatives, so like. These 3 things all require close friendship with the DPW, so they are all things that, we should work in with, so you don't have 3 different groups that are all vying for DPW attention, for example, or the schools or the town council or whatever. I think. Saying as well as like, is there particular expertise, like, okay, these 3 things all really require someone who knows something about trees. So we're gonna pull in a tree expert, you know, these are the areas that need that. Do we have the expertise for, you know, there may be some of these where we don't already in-house have that. Seek either in our subsequent volunteers or in some external. Kids out there are real bad now.
So if you want to throw out like topics, yeah, and I brought correspond with this, so we can like those votes.
Oh, boy.
Yeah. Sorry, I must have. That's gonna be so my right.
It's okay. No, that's fine. I was just trying to be these.
So do we wanna look at like the closest to the most votes and then
Yeah.
put a topic around it?
So, do you want to start on this one or start on that?
Or
Why don't I bring this one over?
Yeah.
Facing this.
Sure, yeah.
to put all the topics that have names and then put
Yeah.
numbers. Of how many, and then that will help with prioritization.
Like, it's the, any batch,
You know, like a
marks, well, but I think the votes should show us that.
But I mean.
Yeah.
This actual stuff. I can.
Go for it. How about, do you want to read them, like, read a topic and if it's a cluster, say so.
So this is all about like expanding the recycling. Or you want to go by the most voted, article?
Okay, so this one says candy wrapper recycling
I
bags.
think I was gonna say, it was like, find if there are any that have like 3 or 4.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
These have 1, 2,
All right, look for any 3 or 1, they're much.
free waste reduction programs in schools. 2, 2, 2, 1, 2, 2. Oh, there's new climate action plan.
To climate action. Right?
Yeah.
What had fun?
Sorry.
That's okay.
Another one that had 4 is community engagement and inclusion.
The other one I left. Three.
It says 3, advertising more. This is about, ESC sponsored events, remain source of info on. Practically,
Like
The courthouse,
Yeah.
the courthouse.
That was 3.
that was 3. There's a 3.
No, this one actually is education series at the library, how to. That's part of this one now.
Was that related to one or the other?
It's related to food choices and impact on the environment.
Oh,
Okay,
what's the yellow one right above that?
that's TV showcase is only 2.
3 on
This one?
No, she was the next paper.
Oh, yeah. This one is protect trees.
Is
3. I think that's all the biggest one.
Down here.
How would that look here? So what?
That was for looking at.
Did you see it?
Oh, I see.
Are there any others that have 3 or 4? Are there 5 things that have 3 or 4? What are the 2 yellow right next to each other? There's 2 votes on a yellow and that. Right.
Bat boxes on the bottom. Discourage car idling.
Okay, so we've got some
This
choices.
is fleet electrification and charge. Yeah, we should probably, this has got 4 electric school buses, so I think fleet electrification and school buses probably are.
An example,
So fleet electrification was like 3-ish.
Yeah.
Right?
Okay.
Theory, I put.
Yeah.
With my mind, but.
Oh,
2 people's coming up. Well, voted for.
Alright, are there other 2?
Okay,
Oh, that boxes have two.
yeah, okay, composting had two. Green business program had two.
On the middle board, and smacking it all.
Recycling. Recycling program.
Say more recycling.
Yeah. I had two. Energy flow. Implementation, I had two. Help households switch to EVs, so like MLGLD incentives, it's two. EV showcase and two. Published environmental scorecard is two. That's about boxes. Small gardens and unused spaces had two. And then discourage idling.
How many had one? Do I just should we page?
There's a few that had one.
Do you wanna count those or? They will probably switch to other things. We'll go back and scoop them up in the next step. Let's.
Oh, that's good, no, that's two.
Oh, yeah.
Multifamily housing actions.
Okay, thank you. That was useful stuff. Thank you for helping me those out. So looking at these, I hope this is legible. Is it vaguely legible? Yeah.
Legible.
Now seeing the areas of interest, this is still more than we can probably do, everyone. That's a lot of stuff. But this is where there's some enthusiasm. Let's talk about how we could logically group some of these, like what of these sort of make some sense together.
Yeah, we could do just like. Why don't we group some like a separate page, like just one of the sheets that are.
Well, there's.
I was gonna put color, I was gonna like,
Yeah,
yeah,
I was gonna put the name and then the color out there and. Yeah. Like write down the name of each topic and then. Like. the color.
okay,
Or put it at the top or something.
like, I'm gonna gather a bit of this page over here.
Yeah.
And we're just write some color,
Yeah.
so just a legend. Yes. Little, how this bleeding, or, alright. There it is.
So definitely community engagement. Being kind of the source of sustainability information. There.
Community engagement and outreach. Yeah, do we want to put colors on things, Matt, like as we come up with them? Sure.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Community engagement.
Organized.
Events.
Showcase, or we showcase.
Yeah.
Probably the high school.
Not necessarily, it could be that flavor, it could also be. Like more incentive, like working with WFLD, like getting.
I see, community engagement and outreach separate from like programmatic activities that we would support or. So I could see household EV heat pump and EV. Well, do you see EV showcase as an outreach event or do you see it as a education?
Yeah.
Maybe add education.
Oh, what about environmental scorecard, is that outreach?
Yeah, I think that's outreach now.
Yeah.
Alright, what's another category?
Too big of green spaces, feels, maybe it's too big of a valley, protect the trees, small gardens,
That box.
bad boxes.
Yeah, tech trees, brown boxes. Overstock, small gardens.
So, what are we calling this?
Green spaces.
Green spaces? Pick the right color.
No, composting,
Composting, waste reduction.
composting and waste reduction, composting could go with green spaces, but almost.
So maybe I've been addressing composting has been more, waste reduction.
Okay.
Especially since we're not composting here, with the exception of lawn list, like if we were the greater composting center.
So if you did a community outreach and teaching about composting.
Right.
Right, waste reduction programs in schools could be outreach and engagement, or could be waste reduction. Basically, have the.
I would keep them separate for now.
Yeah, well, I mean, we have a long standing committee, so in some sense. You know. Oh, you're separate, that's.
No, don't say that. I'm trying to have us not think in those boxes if we can help it, but
Sure.
if that happens, that's fine.
Sure.
So are we saying there's some waste reduction type things, so it's more
Yeah.
recycling, pumpkin compost, and
And then a waste reduction program on top.
waste reduction programs in schools.
And then household. The multi-family housing
Yeah.
is one of the things we need to waste, but it isn't just limited to waste, or is it?
No, because it could be also like rotting, yeah, EV charging,
So
other
that
such
could tie
things.
together those two.
So I'm gonna put flu on this, but then it could also be other things, I mean, it could be.
Yeah, I mean, if you were to link with another, you could just say.
It could
Residential
efforts, right, so that's.
But it also could be energy code.
Right, but we have to have that.
Right.
That's more with residents don't even know much.
Well, multi-family homes are factories, what was that, your intention?
Which one?
The multi-family house.
Oh, I had that because. There's all these like loopholes related to like, there's no recycling and certain for multi-family housing.
EV charging out there.
So more-
Charging if they're already established.
So more about programs or initiatives for the residents. As opposed to the housing.
Yeah, it's more existing multifamily.
Yes,
Existing.
And I think
right.
we're doing pretty well now covering, well, except for recycling probably.
New one,
Right,
Yeah.
yeah, right, existing specific.
And to me, that links in with more options at the pit.
yeah,
Because I don't think we're gonna be able to do a lot of things kind of on site in these big. But more, I mean, the pit closes down now, yeah.
for a good chunk of the
For a
year.
good chunk of the year, people need to take recycling there. To me, that's a. Kind of DPW pit issue. It's not- That's not on here though, is it? It's part of the recycling.
Recycling stuff had a lot of that.
Yeah. Okay, so waste reduction is part of this, but it'd be not the whole, yeah. Thinking again about like who you need to collaborate with, are there things that are specifically like connected with different town entities, departments, just like,
Well, the fleet is definitely. You have to.
is that business fleet or is that uni fleet?
Kind of everything.
Cause this one I thought too was about fleet electrification of businesses.
Right.
And then we talked about
So this-
community fleet electrification, I didn't actually get those.
I think say, which is already happening. Community fleet electrification.
Well, you guys are,
I
not,
think- Oh,
they're not
I-
if you do a climate action plan, you will encompass free electrification, anti-idling, household EV. Like one side, that,
Like capture other.
Yeah.
So it's, so you're thinking like if climate action plan had recommendations for
Yes.
like increasing charging options for residents.
yeah, so once like we create the plan and we have all the actions, all the, like a lot of actions will be later, typically electrification, idling and. Energy and transportation related.
Impact.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah, I agree, I think I'll follow that good stuff for fun.
okay.
I think the green business stuff is community engagement too. Or is it more than that?
It is, that's why I was like, it's both having a direction for them to go and then Solving.
business though, rather than community, it's very separate.
Oh, well, because I didn't.
Right, there's an audience, bifurcation maybe in some of this, like encouraging households to do EVs is different than encouraging businesses to do EVs.
Yeah, convincing a marginal business to make a change is very different. Absolutely.
So is green business a different category, like business pointed things, a different category than?
Yeah, probably do. Probably different, audiences and collaborations.
Versus, oh, did you say household EVs and heat pumps, is that about?
I think that goes along with multifamily houses.
In climate as well.
I was all multifamily and single family association.
Right.
Although I do think that is also engage, like a community engagement for people having awareness of.
Well, I don't think that. I did believe that was not going along with race.
Yes.
What color was? So, nothing we did, we did a color.
You use two colors at once.
We're not do two lines, but just no, it's a different one, right, it shouldn't be blue at all.
What do we like?
It's blue.
Cool.
That's okay, just add the color next to it, that's all we can tell. I didn't have to tell. Sorry, it's a bluish purple, yeah.
Nation.
The lights, that goes with the multi.
I do
Which
think,
is that new color that you just did? Yes. Multi.
Got
Bluish purple.
I do think that community engagement, outreach and education is separate from the programs that we would be developing that would be advertised or,
Right, someone makes a program that gets.
that is like two separate
Incentivizes them,
things.
and then we get the word out about it.
Yeah, about all of our events, not just.
The advertising is more of a tax than a whole.
Yeah.
But I think it's important for them.
Where does energy implementation come?
Part of the climate action plan.
Well, no, it's already out there, but it's the, that has some cooperation. And then it's energy implementations that are building instructor, you have to collaborate, with building department.
Yeah,
And it's implementation, you're staying with the residents, so it's application. The residents need, so let's know who to hire, right, and now they don't work with it, so like that, you can't just make it.
Well, their contractor should know all the energy code and I mean, it's up to the contractor to do this, it's not the household.
Well, but you can do some of the process before you hire the contractor. When- So your architect, if you have one, or designer, so it's contractor couldn't have it.
It can be hard to be getting people with resident financial. They're not very. You know what I'm saying? How you gonna do like, hey, someone moving from Indiana to Wakefield about this?
yeah, maybe our ships are best. Put put with the building inspector and.
Yeah.
And making sure that he's educated and his team's on board, because he's gonna have to do the work of enforcing.
Right.
Similar to any other. Building inspection permit process, let's not make it separate from what they do their day job.
Is there anything else we're doing in that, like, does that relate to anyone else?
I mean, I think it's color. I think we should just. Every few months remind people that we are an opt-in community and what that means. First of all, I think we can celebrate it. I think it's an amazing thing. But I do think that most of our effort should be on making this,
Be a slice of.
making this, making sure that the building inspector has the tools he needs to enforce.
And I know we're not supposed to say what this. Don't make it, so. The enforcement started in July, so
I like something that does, yeah, but the thing with 6 month window is what we have to get him comfortable before.
Right, so this might just be like a quick project, this isn't just like a long-standing committee, this is like someone figures out what we need to educate and goes and.
I really think it's reaching out to him and saying,
Yeah, I already reached out to him, I just put him in touch with Mike,
Right.
the consultant, they run a program, the educational program, so. I mean, you can't like.
yeah, you know, he may or may not want to. I do think that from community education on July 1st, we do a big
Yeah,
blast on.
yeah, for sure.
There could be other code things in July.
Yeah.
What else is in July?
Well, the building code is behind, but it could be as a July, if you could have an issue.
What's that? That's not energy, that's.
No, that's the building code, but energy.
So that stretch
The
goes
stretch.
from past 2 or 3 years ago, it's gonna get much stretchy.
Well, no, that's the energy code.
Oh, it's an energy, so
The
it's a
building code is other stuff.
Oh,
I mean, people don't understand. We changed the plumbing code too, but I don't know how it's all great.
Is that,
It generally falls alive by law as opposed to exceptions.
that's cool.
A lot of rules and conditions within it, but there's now explicit guidance on that vision.
Are there, I mean. Is there other stuff that is specifically climate oriented?
There are always stuff. Climate oriented, regulatory climate.
those are the
I
kinds
don't
of
sit
things.
on the meetings to know any of those timetables thought in the back or.
But something like the gender neutral might be a good thing for us to give the HRC a heads up on, and they could publicize that.
Yeah, I've received kind of one pagers on it.
Yeah.
We wanna include in the education, like working with other committees too.
Working with other communities outside of DSC?
Yeah. Like it could be like community slash like.
We can have maybe. Those,
An example?
So for example, I think that it's on top. Educational products or trees or native planting, something like that. Joe, did you hear it past?
I have not heard of the pastor.
the Concom woman's on the train with me, when I saw her on Friday, but I didn't want to bother her first, I think it. No, they were about, they were voting on it, neither thinking policy.
Let's see.
Yeah. But I didn't want to bother her. I just met with Rebecca Davis from. Operation Department person. She mentioned a lot. Yeah, it's Wednesday night. No. I'm pretty good on that. Judy Green was in the office.
All of them texting on it, so. Anyway. I like the collaborating with other committees. I think the more we can get ZBA on solid.
I was also thinking like the bike pen committee, like. Very similar, like stuff that we're working on.
Is that a town committee?
No,
or
that's
is
not
that
a town committee, yeah, there's talk of a transit committee, and that's one reason I put that up there. That if there is a transit committee, I think we would have a role to play,
Or maybe a liaison.
or maybe a
or
liaison
something.
to it. I'll know more about that meeting with Jonathan tomorrow, about what's coming up. I think it was discussed a couple of months ago, and I wasn't there, and I think it's kind of lukewarm, but we'll see.
What's CBN?
Zoning Board of Appeals, so anybody who goes for a variance, they can put conditions on, so they might want, better setback, and then if ZBA kind of knew what our list of issues were, they might be able to say, okay, you can have that setback, but you need to put in biking storage, or you need to put in better, they can, it's kind of it's a trading kind of thing.
Okay, yeah.
But I don't think that they're fully up to date on kind of, or, I think, and then it's not because they don't want to do it, it's not at all, they got a million things on their plates, but it might just be an interesting.
Can I ask a question? So there was a suggestion about the sustainability director. So that would be an official town position. Do we feel like we are on equal footing with other committees and today, or do you think that would help make our positions more official, or I don't know, have more weight with the town?
Sure, and well, even just having someone who's spending more time on it than partners of each of us that we have to give.
You wanna write down the. Names. I mean, we benefit having someone whose full-time job is thinking about this, and then they said. Employee meetings talking, you know, when we, you know, that, you know. There was nothing.
This, it just in dovetailing with this idea of engaging more with these communities that. Just wanted to bring that up.
It would certainly. Alright, what was this purple color? Like, what was this?
They've been housing doing multi-family household.
Yeah.
They just call it housing. I mean, oh, where would that,
This is the MBTA zoning, okay.
they didn't get any votes.
It didn't get any votes.
Sure, so
We got.
this like mostly the stuff, that's pretty much.
Lead electrification to the extent that it's business is related to stuff.
Regarding the 40A stuff. I'm not sure if that's like, that's gonna come up for a vote in the spring. I see it's more like we're reacting to something another committee's doing, so I don't know that it needs to be on the list, but I would definitely like to continue to talk about it.
Yeah.
And, you know, there might be ways that we can lay out some of the environmental benefits of this potential this potential bubble.
Let's find this.
And that might go into the collaborating with other committees, because like, just like they're responding to what we do,
Yeah.
we need to respond to what they're.
Right.
So is there a housing, would they partners that we would work on with the?
Right, I mean, certainly like a housing related stuff, committee, subcommittee would wanna be closer to ZBA
And family and other things?
And there is a new, I don't even know what it's called, there's a new housing committee, because we just became a housing choice community.
What does that mean?
I would know more that I don't really know. So essentially, we now have a fund. We had $750,000 out there in a fund for housing, but there was never really any way to. There's never any mechanism to really use it, and I guess that's funded when a low-income house or apartment or unit is sold for market, we actually, the town actually gets the difference. Is my understanding? I don't think it happens too often, so you try to keep those in the. We could definitely have somebody come talk to us, I probably sort of much more up on this. But we now have basically this housing choice kind of fund. And we can use that money to, encourage different housing stuff. Obviously, that's not gonna build something, but for example, on Butler Ave, which is a piece of land that the town sold for development, it turned out it had asbestos in it, the town bought it back, got it capped. And so like we could spend that, it's under this housing choice, we could spend that money to come up with a design to go out for bid. For a third party to either buy it or build it. You know, I mean, you know, should that be elderly housing, should that be, you know, under 55, those kinds of things.
Or a little part.
Or, right, I've been pushing hard to. There's a lot of open space in there.
Can we add a category there for electrification? On your sheet behind you? Because it seems like there could be electrification subcommittee or
Everything
whatever.
would be electrification.
Right.
We could work on stove, you could work
Well,
on
we can move it that way, right, so, in
Right.
electrification, on fleet. Heat pumps. EV. Or electricity, right? So they do all.
But it depends on the part, and I think that our meeting, there's a lot of it, like, is preceded by the climate action plan for the communities. Climate action plan says, you know, we must take-
Electrify.
It could go either way. So.
Right, it doesn't matter how we wanna divide it.
Because would climate action plan mean like develop the
Yeah.
plan and also
Yeah, we're.
implement it, or not implement, but
Well,
socialize it,
implementation will have-
get it approved
Yeah,
or buy-in? That's a whole separate,
I mean, once, I mean, the climate action plan is encompassed, everything else stuff, so.
And just the native planting vote did pass, the native planting did pass.
Okay.
So that's another like reacting to their, so now Concom has this native planting, I don't even understand it completely. But like, we can help cross promote.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And it's important because it's going in 40A, we're making it a condition that if you do, you know, if we do have this by right, then you have to put the native, you have to comply with the native planting.
So I think it may make sense to have an electrification group. And then sort of focus on that while the plan and climate plan is being created.
Yeah, running in parallel.
It's gonna include everything on this list,
right, so maybe that goes with this and this.
we would put everything in that.
Make that purple color of like.
well, the other challenge is that, you know, there's 7 reasons.
Yeah.
Is that a bridge too far or when we're at? I mean, I'm not for that topic anyway, but
Well, we would have, so we're seeing the same,
What is the thing with papers? Like how long is it on the? What's that? Deal, what's that? Oh, energy code implementation. I think we were saying maybe that's not actually a good thing.
yeah.
Like, that's just a someone's.
I'm not so worried about electrification being too far, I feel like it's consistent with what the MLD is saying. If it were going up against the MLD, I would feel differently. But don't you feel like that's the direction that the MLD is pushing?
Oh, yeah, especially since this like DPU 2080 order came out on the future of natural gas, basically says. You can't expand natural gas, you have to come up with alternatives. That's, that is, I mean, it doesn't outright say that municipalities. Are required to fall in line, but it's coming, so.
Your moratorium on new was definitely in place, and then if
Yeah.
that is expanded is to be discussed. Right, so it is.
But how to address existing customers, they want us to start transitioning.
Like they have good incentives now for starting this year, right, for induction stoves.
Yeah,
Right, so the heat pump and stuff.
And- well, now starting this year, this maybe needs to be better advertised, I don't think it was advertised yet. Starting this year, we are increasing the cap on rebates if you do heat pumps plus insulation. You know, so because what we found were people were waiting to cash in on that rebate because there was a cap, so they didn't do the heat pumps one year and then insulation another year. When most people do it at the same time, when they're redoing their electric, their heating system. So
It's still the same.
it's increased incentives.
So it is what
Off the top of my head, I don't know, but I think the max is like something like 7,500, it's much higher.
Was last year. For heat pumps.
Oh, it's higher. I'm sorry, I shouldn't have this.
No, I think it's take it right. I think it's worthwhile question though, because there's like certainly collaborate with WMGLD on like helping with policies, but also helping with outreach. Like I think there's more that we as a committee or a subcommittee could be doing to promote and you know, move folks toward electrification. So I think that
I mean, it could fall under phone.
it could, yeah, or collaborate with that group.
Yeah.
On some stuff, yeah.
Can I just go back to green spaces, because we did have I think the last committee we had was called land use.
Yeah.
And that was honestly, I felt like that was a really tough committee. Like, it really leaned heavily on Concom. We got some good things done, but I really like the idea of maybe green spaces, like little pocket green spaces, rather than looking at all land use, because that's not really our jurisdiction,
Right.
is land use.
Right, like,
Well, I say that-
trees, like, is that actually us, or is that Concom that we tell them, like, hey, we?
No, Concom limited to something like within a watershed, yeah. It's going, yeah, they're back reserve.
Okay, so like, protecting the trees policy would have to come from us.
I think the town council, like, we could bring it to the town council or a bylaw. So yeah, I think green spaces and trees are, I found land use to be, I think maybe we were thinking too big about it. And the Concom is doing a big, open spaces plan, and I think that will help inform. So I'm not against the green spaces, but I really like the green spaces rather than land use.
Yeah, I think that makes sense.
In a year or so, when they're done with their stuff, to make change to support whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, Green Spaces also then supports the community garden and so forth, so it has a little
Is there anything,
different focus, you know, it's,
yeah, is there anything that feels missing from this, like, are there, like, so in thinking about current or recent committees, is there anything that we are abandoning if these are the committees?
we are building buildings, which I wanna say, but the hardest thing is that the permanent building committee sets their own agenda, allows engagement, but they just operate a certain way. Capital planning has their meetings. Technically allow public meeting, you know, participation. Isn't fantastic and necessarily, like they listen to the, like, so.
Hard to engage. It's hard to engage.
It's hard to engage it without being on the committee.
Look, yeah, it wasn't on the website.
Oh,
I think I want this.
oh, we're done.
Okay, I just couldn't find it.
I don't know how. Well, A, the meetings conflict with some of the building committee, we've always, but it becomes so attendance is hard. I know, so you can feel right for them, but.
And I feel like you got to go in the high school through, it's probably not, I'm saying this.
Well, the municipal is through the capital planning process and I do think we're in a good spot with the money we get from the communities, and they're investing it, like, you know, you need to know things. The library just got a new roof, I wish I heard more. Paper pictures, like, they left on the the roof, but now they left them and stuff like that, so. I don't know.
Yeah.
We could expand solar on some of those buildings, right?
So they had
Structures.
some like Greenwood, they exploded my understanding, and there was the cost of structural improvements that. So I think the town's asking the questions, people may not like the results, but it's always budget, you know, balanced, you know, like they consider it, so. I think people are asking the right questions, and I don't know if we're in the right spot to insert ourselves anywhere. But not to be forgotten, I think.
Yeah, and it could talk under electrification, it could talk under climate action,
I think
For
the
now.
climate action will definitely
touch on.
remind people to ask the questions, and the green communities funding, you have to come up with projects that supports that. And
Oh, yeah, I mean, that's,
Well, green communities is just energy right now. Energy
Right.
production.
But
And municipal
insulating and stuff like that is all under buildings, you know, so.
is there a work to be done though around green communities that we need to have talk under a committee, or is that just something that like?
It's something that you just have to make sure that the town is.
DPW is running it.
Yeah, I think it's where a sustainability director would really help us be more strategic and
And
responsive.
is that something that comes out of a climate action plan, or do we?
The sustainability person, yeah.
Sustainability person, so
Yeah.
like, in the
Yeah.
climate action plan,
Yeah.
we say we need to have a sustainability person, and then that becomes.
Yeah, I think
a
that's
town
maybe one of the
climate
recommendations.
They're charged with,
Is there a town that's like? In the area, it's like the town for sustainability, like The West.
Melrose is good,
Those.
they have
But
sustainability.
they have, because they're government, so
There's
they're
city.
they can do things.
I think you can't compare to Melrose because they're a city and they can pass things easier.
Yeah, but I wasn't thinking so much that, I mean. It's more like. We're not a business unit, but like, yeah, you're like, what do we wanna be, like, what kind of people do we wanna attract to town, that kind of thing. How do you get there? Green communities, I mean, it sounds like a lot of those. You know, you could have that moniker, there's, yeah, things like you go to Kingston, the bike paths, so bigger, team build, you know, things like that, they're like. You know, speak to a certain mindset, and then there's a lot of that that's not really here, and I'm just wondering if. There's a town that we can use as a reference, say, hey, they do this thing, if we did that thing. we would-
I certainly think the climate action plan
So-
subcommittee
There's
is look
lots
for
of
some.
towns like Metro West,
Metro West.
yeah, Lexington.
I was like, Lexington and Concord, but
Concord,
people-
Darlington.
But people dismiss them as evil stuff because they just look at the economics of the town and they think they don't either want to be associated or don't see us being capable of the federal laws, you know, and they dismiss it as, well, of course they can do it, they're Lexington, but it's not money, it's volunteers and
Yeah.
people's, you know.
Right, well, I mean, I think there's, I mean, in what I see in the community that the town hall has done is. Got a sort of shrinking, faction of like. Apologize to use the term counties, or people that have been here for a long time and they feel like they're kind of being pushed out, but that's not happening anyway. So, you know, is there, you can't bring everybody along, one of the options is to kind of just accelerate whatever the hell was, like she and. And if climate action plan is a, you know, that, that's. I was thinking like, you know, where's it gonna town, well, this is just. Savings and like talk to those guys, it's.
Beverly has a good, green programs. They've got, like this, like there's.
Yeah.
They've got like a whole website and like, they've got like oodles of volunteers and a coaching program, all sorts of stuff.
We can find a town,
Certainly.
at least we can find a couple of towns, I mean, we'll just look at the others, but we can start looking at the towns that pass the specialized opt-in energy code that are similar to us.
And
in
one
the
of the
495
examples,
bill.
I didn't put it up here, but, for instance, you've got Cambridge, I think it's Cambridge. Has the buses on the wires, right, like.
Yeah.
Watertown.
And Watertown, they have the cable buses, like, how do you do that?
Yeah.
In a town like Wakefield, like, do you have to do it again, like, cable on board? That's what I read first. See on board, do you have to get, you know, how to, you know, allocate some space in fact, but when you're talking about electrification, it's not. It's usually infrastructure is almost a bigger issue than electric itself, right? So those towns did it, you know, again, appropriated cities, but at least references.
So we're planning to have our strategic strategy session for the Wakefield Municipal Gas and Light 10, so next week. So any ideas that you want us to take on, happy to.
And I think it would be great to collaborate,
Better website? Oh, okay.
I think to collaborate on. Fleet electrification both for mandating firms and business fleets, like anything that if. If we can get the businesses that have vehicles to really think about, like, what does it take, what does it get them? How does that impact their tax burden or whatever, to switch their 3 little pickup trucks to light managed slate?
Yeah.
How do we get that to be, more easily do?
Right.
How do they have the information they need to make that choice this year instead of in 5 years? And business, like otherwise supporting businesses. I think the green business group would want to collaborate with me, WMGLD. To get businesses thinking about how they, because I don't want the green business program to just be about getting businesses to recycle. If that's where it ends, we've lost.
Yeah.
Right, it really needs to be about businesses doing more bigger impactful things. And their energy use from the majority of businesses in town, I would guess, is the, like, where the bulk of it is. Alright, so yeah, so I think, yeah, I think the next step would be, who wants to do which of these? Like, can we actually staff all of these items?
Yeah, I guess,
And-
is this the right number?
It's in the right ballpark, but if nobody raises their hand to do waste reduction, then that fails to be a committee, or we, like, this, we pencil in names until we get it right, and if it means that we scratch one of these off the list, then we scratch one of these off the list.
I guess I would add that it's scratched, so to speak. I believe we have some turnover in April and May, or potential turnover, so it's not sure. It's stable. It's stable, exactly, so, and if something happens in town and priorities need to change, of course, people need to feel comfortable on adjusting.
Well, I think like we were talking about like working groups versus subcommittees, so I forget, but saying, like, when timely things come about, do working groups.
Yeah.
And then we can just continue subcommittees on various things, so.
Ours is 3 years, and it's now set. When we reformed, we weren't staggered.
And which turnover we have, town council's running over. And I don't know what her name is running again.
She may be assigned to the.
That's true.
Our school committee representation
Has not,
I rotate a lot,
Yeah. TPW's been pretty consistent, and MLD's been pretty good, you guys have stayed involved.
And we'll have one new person in job is Chris. Christina's also not here, we don't know which of these things she.
Yeah.
Although it makes me guess that it's not stuff she's been interested in.
I don't know how we're gonna replace you.
She's gonna run for EAC spot.
You are?
I'm gonna try to run. But, I mean, but we're gonna need somebody from the town council.
Yeah.
Right.
My plan is also, we need to take a little time off, but to kind of revitalize sustainable Wakefield as a grassroots group as well. I think that's what we're missing in town, is like grassroots.
Yeah.
It's kind of like the sustainability bus.
Right, they can do things without it.
That can
being
do things
recorded.
without open meetings and like,
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's like.
And it
Go
was
do
pretty
it.
active, and then all of us ran for office and it kind of fell apart. So. Try to revive it.
Slash grad, wasn't one of the founders of middle school or high school? The daughter or somebody, so she probably.
Oh, yeah, she's off the.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, and something we should also think about in staffing these is how we get these numbers, the.
Yeah, I really want to
involved.
work on, these youth are, I'm the liaison to the Women's Council, they are right. I'm meeting next week with the president of the youth council, who's on the governor's climate action. Like, they are ready, so I want to make sure we put them in.
And if they have an idea that is not in one of these six, that we can
Yeah.
support them in this way. All right, so who wants to, for each of these subcommittees, we need someone to lead them. You can sort that out once we've actually put people on them, or if someone says, I really want to lead XYZ things, but speak up about it. Yeah.
And we also talked about not joining more than 2 groups, more than 2 subgroups. Yeah. This.
Are there any that are missing?
I think we agree, but
We group this.
What about the zoning? The,
That has a group.
Yeah.
So we don't need
You're
that
out
to-
there, we might do a little.
I think
like-
Robin gave you
It's on.
oh, yeah.
Yes, we just need to know. How we engage or put a letter of support out that people can this.
because I know I'm gonna do. I don't know that I'm gonna ask a cookie, but right now I think the 2 committees I want to be part of are for spaces, probably actually, maybe that I don't know, maybe that I'll probably for a second. So, those are the ones that I think, as much as I can want to do so, but if People to staff. And I know we have something I know will actually. Yeah.
One for me is green space and something debating on my side. I'll be on action plan. I'll be the waste reduction. I continue to die on the hill of community. It's not an old debate. What? I just find it will serve me. Oh. I used to be ML, hungry. I sure wanna, hey,
Stevens Johnson syndrome.
what's that?
Stevens Johnson syndrome, I don't even know what it is, but I have those interests, so.
On television.
I would say 100 people. Community engagement. Lots of green businesses.
For electrification, I mean, should. I don't know how this works with my role as the liaison, so.
It seems like a great.
Yeah.
I was gonna say.
Okay, well. Okay,
Last finish.
D.
Lost it for a moment back.
And for what's worth, I do want to help on that, as long as we have two people missing, but it's two people and not for third committee. Yeah,
Yeah, I guess she.
Maybe we need to get the youth involved.
We've also always said that public members are welcome.
Right, like Cheyenne is basically a member of the waste reduction committee as a volunteer. I'll even actually write her name, really. She's in it as often as most of us.
Right.
And honestly, I'm gonna stay involved with the climate action plan, like, you guys need to move for the next 4 months. Yeah, definitely, as much as you can, well, I still have some pool.
I'm interested in the climate action plan, I'm concerned about overcommitting myself.
Well, we don't have anybody left.
Electrification is huge, I mean, it's
I
gonna
know.
span both housing and, like, businesses.
I agree with you, Dawn. I mean, the climate action plan should be done, what, in a year?
So, yeah.
I wonder whether we merge those for this year?
Or sort of like consider this like an outcome, if there's stuff that can be done in the engagement space. We help with that from this committee for now, and then as when the climate action plan is done, spin up like a real heavy push on the electrification.
Yeah,
Well, yeah, there's gonna be a lot of spin offs.
there's gonna be a lot of like research that has to go on.
I mean, I think the climate action plan could use more help than
Yeah.
like that, if any committee needs to be like way more than 2 people, it would be fine.
Yeah.
Right.
Do you
That's-
wanna then? do you
Yeah,
wanna-
because, climate action plan is a must have,
Yeah.
whereas. I mean, yeah, electrification programs and initiatives are important, but they're happening as well, today, so. And also climate action plan is, like you said, Stefan, it's gonna require a lot of research, and it's going to build the case for a lot of our other initiatives.
When I said we had a good meeting.
Right.
Well, and then.
I hope that it does stay.
I'm willing to work on either.
Yeah, well, I hope it came back,
Well.
I hope it came back alive while we were.
Always, you're going to education, so we can always cross.
Right, and for community
You
engagement.
put that over on the table.
Anytime there's an event, we'll put out a call for like, if you just wanna help with some of the
Yeah,
things,
yeah.
the fun parts.
But I don't think it's too.
Yes, yeah.
Living arguing with spaces.
Waste reduction, I mean, oh, well, so like, I'm going to keep it that. Christina wants to be in, oops, that's another G, Christina. And I wait with that, that's Christina. I think those are our committees. So the intent was to spend a couple of minutes. Stefan, before you leave, do you want to raise your hand to lead any of these things?
He offered.
You offered to lead green spaces?
There's a motion that needed champion.
If you need somebody, I'm not gonna immediately volunteer right now.
Fair. We'll let
I do
you.
have the times, I just don't know that I am strong enough leader with connections to the top that I would be effective.
We could do a little training on what it means to be, because you're right, there are some like knowing how to do minutes and get it
Yes.
posted. We could do a training on that for whoever takes the lead, so. Okay,
Thank you.
bye, have a good weekend.
I will lead community engagement where someone else is raring to do it. You imagine that you're raring to do that. Rob, you wanna think about
I think you're doing a great job.
All right, second picture.
it? Thank you. Waste reduction,
Happy to give away my leadership.
you're looking to lead climate action, I assume. I think it makes sense.
Do you think Christina would be interested? Or be suggested?
Yeah, I'm not sure, or I could maybe do co-lead or something, I'm afraid to take on responsibility. Well, how about this, you're the leader until you convince Christina either to do it or co-lead it with him. We're gonna put a T for time. Okay, green business.
I don't wanna leave it before April, but I can talk after.
Sure, I will kick it off and then we'll transition it to you if that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or Christine. Yeah. Well, how about this, we'll like start that up as a committee and then we.
Yeah, and I can see how it
Once
plays
Christine's
out.
Yep.
I don't know if Tom is gonna be involved. Should he say?
Stroke Tom back into whatever he's interested in.
I was gonna ask, I mean, do we, in the spirit of communications and advertising, do we wanna put out a press release that says we've restructured our committees and anybody want to give public purpose?
Yeah, certainly know the list. I would suggest that we let these committees each meet once and define their goals and activities.
And then maybe they're
And then put out a press release saying, hey, these are the things we're doing, here's some needs we have, we'd love someone who's good at Instagram. We'd love someone who knows about trees, you know, who wants to join these committees.
Yeah, like the outreach, we need to figure out like what 3 events we're having, because it's much easier to volunteers to do something specific than just sit.
Yeah, right, totally.
And that's why I think the youth have to be too, I think they have something very specific to do.
So I think the thing I wanted us to do next was to like look back at the ideas and sort of start to pencil a list of like, as a committee, these are our goals. I'm not sure that now, given the overlap of these, can we do that about these, or are we sort of, too many of us are naming, okay, so.
Like, I would take these stickers and. We just put by.
Yeah, I think you should give them to theirs.
What we could do is have a poster with the title on each, and then stickies on there, and then somebody could
Like,
catalog the stickies.
let's do color. One of them already has a lot of the community engagement stuff, that's really fun. Or maybe we can meet like.
So it's interesting, so we're looking at the opt-in, so going back, there's not lots of lots. But to that different town, but people especially with mine, it's like. I think the meter maybe, you're more. Yeah, the meter was my first Carlisle, and you're so tough, still bad, it was my sister-in-law.
Yeah.
So it's the outlier from her, like, you pick up a lot closer.
The town of ordinance, so I don't hear it, so it's not. I will wait for you, baby. I will listen. Okay.
I think standards are, you can tell the right waste production are, I think most of the waste production are, oh, that one is similar. Green space, mostly are.
It's all right.
Yes, if you can move that over to this section.
Climate action is an example.
And now let's go through this.
No, these probably are, did a lot of the things, and for state. Moving on, projects, or not, like on the city council or.
Yeah, let's
It's
keep
just
that
that
over
we
here.
are, let's just do like a table for now. Very rural. And it's,
This area.
So the parking is definitely here.
Yeah.
Not, not, identify.
That's that.
Look at all the issues that goes down, you can see where.
Yes, I mean, introduction of community, I think I'm a little, those out of Massachusetts. I'm gonna put it in, which I spoke about whatever.
Yeah.
Is it community options to say this? There has to be like that. Or more somewhere that, Trail steward program is working something like, yeah.
Or look at all of the items and stuff that we're planning on.
Yeah, but majority are.
I'm not.
That's an interesting activity in Massachusetts, just being the town within the 495 belts. So maybe that's what we should be, it's a cafe, it's also restaurants, the dog, we don't see ourselves. As equal to, the worst of the world, kind of developers are treating us as if we're all.
Right, well, I would just the municipal government predicting. Is this one that people
Budget,
Yeah,
we're the
yes,
budget.
yeah, which make us.
Oh, that's just like I want to mention.
That's a reminder.
That's why I will actually repeat.
Well, let's show them how we go.
You don't want, I think that's why I'm on your committee, that's why I was doing this now.
What's not the way social.
How that is a sponsored event.
House is, like, who else on this is added on their plate is things that the. People are advocating to get that, right, so who's gonna.
Who's in that?
So who's trying to throw it on that, but probably just. I think it's her, but I'm not saying, yeah. Anyway,
Yeah.
that's like,
Well, let's look to it.
oh, good, okay, so I had her school bus, you're also checking out service,
Some Wakefield.
Really?
Wait, do you have a notification?
Beverly, though.
Electrification is under
Climate City.
Beverly is always sort of all right. But if even in that cities, there's actually get rules about. That's fun.
Yeah, we like your computer.
I do, and it's supposed to sound, saying, I mean, the tenth thing, but if I want to, I have.
I mean, like waste production has a came on the multi.
One, if I were to still draft a word and stuff like that, they can write.
Oh, wow. What's the name?
Because it's.
What's the, what's the,
I don't know what's the.
They're.
Waste production school.
So
So it's 5 more pipeline, 6-year-old model.
Okay.
We're good, compliant, batteries went good.
Right, this is probably like, this becomes just an outreach thing.
Yeah. Unacceptable.
Yeah.
It's like a.
And I look for weight.
So the energy goes.
Biggest
outreach thing.
Yeah.
What is that?
Oh.
Is it 15? I don't know.
It's so it's.
Response.
Okay.
But I love my work, so very ability, very back, it's gonna take, right, by the back, case and it's fine, and it's battered.
I think that's a lot more about
Fully
talking
charged,
in person than.
fully charged.
Yeah.
Really making sure it's because it lasts 3 or 4 hours. Now we're TV watching, but.
Yeah.
Okay. I was just, I don't mix June, I didn't really have, you saw, the 18, I think that's less for them, it's just pay for some.
But they had us a turn.
Nice.
Yeah,
It's
something kind of work.
like building, ZBA and other building related communities, like. apartments. So I have a friend.
How is it,
They're
man?
well enough informed.
He's actually job hunting right now. He works at mall, so. No, well, permanent, they designed the office.
Yeah.
Oh, really? Yeah. Yes. I don't know. Is he in the multi-family studio or?
He was living a lot of the multifamily space, projects like, everyone has from TM, where they converted a building into,
Nice.
apartments.
Okay.
He worked on it.
Yeah,
Actually,
I care about that, but I just, we like working.
I did something like 30 unit buildings in Connecticut, and so like mostly getting all.
Are we having some?
Yeah.
Definitely some sort
That's something in Melbourne.
I think the only thing is if we want to have any further
There's a Melbourne.
unless there's like.
The
Melrose Mall,
Yeah.
online, there's someone.
Yeah, you work on.
And then to like let people have the quick, like as a subcommittee, hours Tuesdays, we could do that.
Okay.
Like while like we have to have it.
No, it's right, it lives. The door lofts.
Okay.
Their company logos, like picture that I have.
So I guess. Well, subcommittee once.
Oh,
Right, for subcommittee for a couple minutes and see if there's any like logistical coordinating.
That's fine, the floor was freezing, just. It's so nice. But we were the unit above the floor.
Oh.
We see it posted out. I can't remember.
Sure.
Where do you work now?
On your phone already?
Yeah.
It's
What
a.
do they specialize?
Well, national, or a national company, it's a national.
Yeah, I mean,
For senior living. But locally, we're mostly schools, both K-12, so.
Oh.
A little bit of science. So what was so,
Yeah.
you know, it's called materials.
Oh, you have to take a picture of each one, not a.
It's not working.
No, he left.
Oh, he did,
I'm sure they'll also just take them out here.
Years.
Oh, wow.
Decided.
Write it up.
Of course, I want you to go through.
Focus on. There's a lot.
Fabulous.
Okay.
It's definitely, and,
Oh, I think.
residential, like.
Somebody from each group would say.
Oh, so he's been doing like 2,000.
So he wants
Plus,
us
so
to
they
do
need
it
to
Smaller.
Peter,
Wakefield, that just in middle.
I mean, I'm happy to just take the process for. You don't have to.
Well, we do need minutes.
Yeah.
Which I assume they're
I
going
would
to.
minutes need to have like a posted level.
So, it's like, I mean,
you're chosen. I did.
Yes. Yes.
I did not ask what's architect.
Yes. Yes. So took a break.
Yeah, I did the single one. But I heard that was called, but it's not.
yeah, Barton, so he doesn't specialize, like, does not,
So
he was the only passive
I-
supervisor.
Yeah, we need more.
Yeah.
They want to go someplace where there's actually,
We have folks that have the knowledge, they don't have the never saw that test.
oh, I see,
Yeah.
yeah,
That's quite different, we call it a test.
yeah, and to remain certified.
Yeah. My last, I think we're done. Yes.
We'll be a general meeting and then we can just like gather two of those. It's like, oh, really?
Yeah,
Thank you, everybody. Next meeting is the second Thursday, so February.
Yes, our next regular meeting.
Yes.
Oh, we're not meeting, we're doing a regular January.
Oh, this is the rule.
Yes.
Oh.
So February.
February, we have a motion to.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
On.
All in favor?
Yeah.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.